It's time for the Proseed Halftime Report. If you need seed, think Proseed. With us today, District Sales Manager Jason Lovejoy. Great to have you here, sir. Let's talk about where things are at with the soybean harvest right now.
We're just starting harvest. I cover northwest Minnesota, so we're just getting going last week, and kind of looks like a probably average, maybe a tish above average soybean crop. Guys that got some rain the end of July seem to get a few more bushels, but.
And then let's talk about some of the upcoming, if you will, soybean and corn genetics you're going to be selling next year. What's the good news about that?
For next year, soybeans, we got Liberty Link, we got Roundup 2s, we got Extend coming out, or we had that this year, and Enlist next year, if that gets approved for next year.
Good stuff.
Well done.
And then also you've got a cash discount, which is always nice to get a little discount, especially with where crop prices are been. So what are you guys doing there?
Yeah, cash is king. So we offer a 10% till October 5th is the cutoff for that, and then 9% till November 5th, and 8% till December 5th for cash.
So in other words, call you right now, get the 10%. How do people get a hold of you?
You can reach me by cell phone, 218-289-0235.
Good stuff, man. Give your number one more time, please.
218-289-0235.
Nice. You also have the Right Stuff and the Right Choice program as well, so some great things happening there. Be sure and give Jason a call and stay with us. Much more coming up right here on the Proseed Halftime Report.
Welcome back inside our Fargo studios for the Proseed Halftime Report. 17-5, the Bison lead at halftime, and let's show you how we got to where we are. We take a look at the first half highlights, and there he is, number 49, Nick DeLuca, back in action for the Bison after missing 2 games with a meniscus tear. Bison offense getting going early. Easton stick to Jeff Ilias, 32 yards. Bison leads 7-0, and then they add to it later in the first. Lance Dunn with an 18-yard rush. That is Dunn's 10th total touchdown, 9th rushing touchdown. That makes it a 14-0 NDSU lead. And then a little bit of an interesting call here for the Bison defense. Cole Karch will get flagged for roughing the quarterback, and then they will also tack on a targeting play with it. Take another look at it as Karch comes in and hits Peyton Huslig. I'm not sure that that's a targeting call, but it was reviewed and it was upheld. Karch will miss the rest of this game. He is eligible for next week. In the second quarter, the drive continues because of that play. And Bears going for it on 4th and goal from the 1, and there he is, Nick DeLuca, Johnny on the spot, making the stop for the Bison. The next play, though, for the Herd, it wasn't a short-lived celebration, as Lance Dunn was trying to come out of the end zone on a run play. He would be ruled down. Initially, this was ruled as a fumble and a Bears touchdown that they recovered in the end zone, but it was overturned and ruled as a safety to make it 14-2. And then after the free kick, Husling with the Bears driving is picked off by Trey Dempsey, his 2nd interception of the season, 2nd in as many weeks, 12th of his career. And that would be 14-2 at that point. Let's take a look at our halftime stats brought to you by the North Dakota Certified Seed Producers. 17-5 our score as Cam Peterson would tack on a field goal. Each team would tack on a field goal actually there to end the first half. The rushing yards a little low for the Bison at 51 in the first half. The passing yards a little bit higher as the Bison came out slinging the football. Easton Stick is 8 of 12 for 134 and a touchdown. Still has not thrown an interception. The really big number that is not shown on your screen there is the time of possession. Missouri State with 21 minutes and 10 seconds to the Bison's 8 minutes and 50 seconds. So certainly the time of possession game, as we heard Coach Kleiman coming off the field talking to Ryan Gellner there at the end of the first half, they got to be able to run the football, and run the football is what he said his team will look to do in the second half. Again, your first half stats brought to you by the North Dakota Certified Seed Producers. I want to take a moment here real quick and show you and talk about that targeting play. I printed off the rule from the NCAA, and the only thing that I can see that maybe Cole Karch was guilty of was one of the notes in the targeting rule, and that was lowering the head before attacking by initiating forcible contact with the crown of the helmet. So that is a rule that is in place. Again, Karch will miss the rest of today's game, but he will be eligible for next week's game at Indiana State. But a targeting play there, and that just means one less defensive tackle for the Bison as we go through the rest of the game. 17-5, North Dakota State leads. We'll step aside. We come back. We'll take a look at the other games going on in Missouri Valley play. It's a full slate today. We'll show you all those next here on the Proceed Halftime Report. Welcome back to the Proceed Halftime Report. Alex Egan here with you in our Fargo studios as the Bison lead Missouri State 17-5 in the first half action. Bison and Missouri State kicking off Valley play this week, and they're not the only ones that are kicking off Valley play. Missouri State actually already has a Valley game under their belts, and we take a look around the Valley. South Dakota and Western Illinois will get started here in about 25 minutes or so from Macomb, Illinois. The Coyotes playing very well right now. Western Illinois also playing very well right now. That'll be a big matchup. The other giant matchup in the Valley is a top 6 matchup. South Dakota State and Youngstown State, both of those teams ranked in the top 10. That game is coming to you from Youngstown. That will kick at 6 p.m. Central Time tonight. Of course, all of these games will be available on ESPN3 if you want to catch those after we're done with our broadcast here today. More games going on in the Valley today, and Northern Iowa heads to Southern Illinois. Again, another late start for them as they are taking on the Salukis. The Panthers will be taking on Southern Illinois. That's a 6 o'clock Central Time start. Indiana State will be at Illinois State. Illinois State, the only team in Missouri Valley play with a 1-0 conference record, as the Redbirds will take on the Indiana State. As I've forgotten what Indiana State's mascot is. That's embarrassing. Well, I do know that the Bison play for North Dakota State, and they are up 17-5 over Missouri State here at halftime. We will step aside one more time, talk about the second half, and then get you back out to the Fargo Dome for second half action. Still to come here on the Proceed Halftime Report. Welcome back to the Proceed Halftime Report. Indiana State, the Sycamores, by the way. That's something I will never forget from here on out. 17-5, North Dakota State leads Missouri State here at halftime. And again, the Bison will be without defensive tackle Cole Karch. He was ejected from the game in the first quarter for a targeting call. Again, he will miss the rest of today's game, but he will be eligible for next week when the Bison head to the Sycamores at Indiana State. So that is something to keep in mind as we move through the second half. Another thing to keep in mind, the Bison have only ran 21 offensive plays. Keep that in mind, as the Missouri State has run over 30 plays, over 35 plays for them in their offense. So NDSU hasn't really been able to get much going offensively for this game. Just 185 total yards. They do lead in that category over Missouri State. But again, we heard head coach Chris Kleiman as he was leaving the field saying we have to be able to run the football. So look for the Bison to come out running here as we start the second half. That'll do it for your Proceed Halftime Report. We'll send it back out to the Fargo Dome with Brian Shawn, Lee Timmerman, and Ryan Gelner. Thanks for joining us.